The year is 1942. World War II, a global conflict of unprecedented scale and ferocity, engulfs Europe and beyond. Nazi Germany, led by the dictator Adolf Hitler, has unleashed its military might across the continent, crushing nations and subjugating millions. In the east, the German war machine has set its sights on a prize of immense strategic and symbolic value, the city of Stalingrad, nestled on the banks of the mighty Volga River. Named after the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, Stalingrad represents more than just a geographical location. It embodies the resilience and industrial might of the Soviet Union itself. The city serves as a vital transportation hub, connecting the resource-rich Caucasus region to the industrial heartland of Russia. For Hitler, capturing Stalingrad would sever a crucial artery of the Soviet war effort and deliver a devastating blow to Soviet morale. The Volga, Europe's longest river, flows through the heart of Russia, carrying with it the lifeblood of the nation. Stalingrad's strategic location on the river made it a gateway to the Caucasus region, an area rich in oil and natural resources vital for the German war machine. Control of Stalingrad would give Hitler's forces access to these resources, fueling their advance and potentially crippling the Soviet ability to resist. Beyond its strategic significance, Stalingrad held immense symbolic value for both sides. For Hitler, the city named after his nemesis, Stalin, represented a trophy, the capture of which would humiliate his Soviet adversary and demonstrate the invincibility of the Nazi regime. For Stalin, however, Stalingrad represented a line in the sand, a place where the German advance would be halted and the tide of war would begin to turn. Fueled by early victories and driven by an insatiable hunger for conquest, the German Wehrmacht, a seemingly unstoppable military force, launched its offensive toward Stalingrad in the summer of 1942. This ambitious military campaign, codenamed Operation Blue, aimed to capture the oil-rich Caucasus region and deliver a knockout blow to the Soviet Union. The German Sixth Army, commanded by General Friedrich Paulus, a meticulous and by-the-book officer, spearheaded the advance on Stalingrad. The initial German onslaught, supported by massive air power and armored divisions, overwhelmed the Soviet defenders, who were outmatched and outgunned. The Luftwaffe, Germany's formidable air force, unleashed a rain of bombs upon the city, reducing much of it to rubble and turning the sky black with smoke and ash. On the ground, German panzer divisions, spearheaded by formidable Tiger and Panther tanks, smashed through Soviet lines, exploiting their superior mobility and firepower. The Soviet leadership, initially caught off guard by the ferocity and scale of the German offensive, scrambled to mobilize its reserves and reinforce its defenses. The situation appeared dire for the Soviets. The German army, seemingly invincible at this stage of the war, advanced relentlessly, pushing deeper into Soviet territory and threatening to overrun Stalingrad. However, the Soviets possessed a key advantage: the vastness of their land and the tenacity of their people. As the German army advanced, it outran its supply lines, stretching them thin across the vast steppes of southern Russia. This logistical overstretch would prove to be a crucial factor in the battle for Stalingrad, as the Germans found it increasingly difficult to maintain their momentum and supply their troops with the fuel, ammunition, and reinforcements they desperately needed. As the German army approached Stalingrad, the city underwent a dramatic transformation, morphing from a bustling industrial center into a fortress determined to resist the Nazi onslaught. Soviet workers, many of them women and children, labored tirelessly to convert factories and workshops into arms production facilities, churning out tanks, artillery pieces, and small arms for the defenders. The city's civilian population, heeding the call to defend their homeland, took up arms and prepared to fight alongside the Red Army. Men and women, young and old, received basic military training, learning to handle rifles, operate machine guns, and throw grenades. Even children played their part, serving as messengers, scouts, and stretcher bearers in the city's labyrinthine streets and underground tunnels. Soviet commanders, recognizing the challenges of defending a sprawling urban environment, adopted a strategy of urban warfare, turning Stalingrad into a death trap for the invading German forces. They fortified key buildings, factories, and strategic intersections, creating a network of interlocking defensive positions designed to bleed the enemy dry. Recognizing the psychological importance of holding the city bearing Stalin's name, Soviet authorities issued orders to defend Stalingrad to the death. Retreat was not an option. Every building, every street, every ruin was to be contested with unwavering ferocity. The stage was set for one of the most brutal and protracted urban battles in human history. Section 4. The Fury Unleashed, Luftwaffe Bombardment and Initial German Assaults. In August 1942, the Luftwaffe unleashed its full fury upon Stalingrad, subjecting the city to a relentless aerial bombardment that reduced much of it to rubble. Waves of German bombers, including the dreaded Stuka dive bombers, pounded industrial districts, residential areas, and strategic targets with high explosive and incendiary bombs. The air raids turned the city into a fiery inferno, with buildings collapsing, streets choked with debris, and the sky blackened by smoke and ash. The Luftwaffe's aerial bombardment aimed to crush the city's defenses, cripple its industrial capacity, and break the spirit of its defenders. However, while the bombing inflicted horrific casualties and widespread destruction, it also had the unintended consequence of creating a more favorable battlefield for the Soviet defenders. The rubble-strewn streets and shattered buildings provided ample cover and concealment for Soviet soldiers, transforming Stalingrad into a maze of potential death traps for the advancing German infantry. Following the initial air raids, the German Sixth Army launched its ground assault on Stalingrad, confident in its ability to quickly capture the city. German infantry, supported by tanks and artillery, advanced cautiously through the city's outskirts, encountering fierce resistance from determined Soviet defenders. The fighting quickly descended into a brutal close-quarters struggle, with hand-to-hand combat taking place amidst the ruins of buildings, factories, and residential neighborhoods. Despite their initial confidence, the German forces soon discovered that Stalingrad was no ordinary city. The Soviet defenders, fighting with the tenacity born of desperation and fueled by a burning hatred for the invaders, contested every inch of ground, turning every street corner, every building, every pile of rubble into a defensive position. The Battle of Stalingrad, initially envisioned by the Germans as a swift and decisive victory, had devolved into a grinding war of attrition. Section 5. Red Resistance. Chuikov's 62nd Army holds the line. Tasked with the defense of Stalingrad, General Vasily Chuikov, a hardened and resourceful commander known for his courage and tenacity, implemented a strategy of clinging to the enemy. Chuikov understood that the Germans, accustomed to fighting conventional battles in open terrain, would be vulnerable in the close confines of the city. He ordered his troops to fight from within the rubble, to contest every building, every floor, every room, and to maintain close contact with the enemy, thereby negating the German advantage in artillery and air power. Chuikov's 62nd Army, decimated by the initial German onslaught but reinforced with fresh troops and supplies ferried across the Volga River under constant enemy fire, became synonymous with the tenacious defense of Stalingrad. The 62nd Army, composed of soldiers from various parts of the Soviet Union, represented the multinational character of the Soviet war effort. Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Georgians, and soldiers from other Soviet republics fought side by side, united in their determination to defend their homeland. One of the key units involved in the defense of Stalingrad was the 13th Guards Rifle Division, commanded by General Alexander Rodimtsov. The 13th Guards, known for its fighting spirit and unwavering determination, played a crucial role in holding the strategically vital Mamayev Kurgan, a dominant height overlooking the city center, against repeated German assaults. The battle for Mamayev Kurgan, which changed hands multiple times, became a symbol of the ferocity and brutality of the fighting at Stalingrad. Another iconic figure in the defense of Stalingrad was sniper Vasily Zaitsev, a skilled marksman who became a legend for his ability to pick off German soldiers from great distances. Zaitsev's exploits, immortalized in the book and film Enemy at the Gates, instilled fear in the hearts of German soldiers and inspired Soviet troops fighting amidst the ruins. His story, along with those of countless other heroes of Stalingrad, exemplified the courage and determination of the Soviet soldiers defending their homeland.